Imagine being trapped inside a stone fortress, surrounded by a black, violent ocean, miles away from the rest of humanity. You are locked inside. The heavy iron doors are bolted shut from the inside. In December of 1900, 3 seasoned men vanished into thin air from the Flannan Isles Lighthouse. They left behind untouched meals, unmade beds, and a logbook documenting a terrifying descent into madness. 18 miles off the rugged coast of Scotland lies Eilean Moor, a desolate shard of rock protruding from the violent Atlantic. To sailors, it was a deadly hazard. To the Northern Lighthouse Board, it was a problem that needed solving. To man this lonely outpost, they sent 3 veterans of the sea: James Duckett, the head keeper, Thomas Marshall, and Donald MacArthur. These were not easily frightened men. They had spent their entire lives battling the ocean's fury. They knew the rules of the sea, and, more importantly, they knew to respect it. Their job was simple: keep the oil lamps burning, keep the lenses clean, and survive the punishing isolation. Every 2 weeks, a relief ship called the Hesperus would bring fresh supplies and rotate the crew. But as the bitter winter of 1900 closed in, the isolation of Eilean Moor began to take on a darker, heavier tone. On the night of December 15th, a passing steamer noticed something chilling. The island was pitch black. The guiding light of the Flannan Isles had died, and the 3 men inside were already gone. Days passed in absolute darkness. It wasn't until December 26th that the relief ship finally reached the island. What they found inside the lighthouse would baffle investigators for over a century. But the most chilling piece of evidence wasn't what was missing. It was what was left behind. The official logbook. Thomas Marshall, a man who had spent his life surviving the worst the Atlantic had to offer, wrote the entry for December 12th. Severe winds, the likes of which I have never seen before in 20 years. James Duckett is quiet. Donald MacArthur has been crying. Let that sink in. Donald MacArthur was an infamous tavern brawler, a hardened, tough-as-nails sailor who feared nothing. What could possibly make a man like that break down and weep inside a reinforced stone tower? The next day, December 13th, the log read, "Storm continued through night. Wind shifted west by north. Duckett quiet. MacArthur praying." And on December 15th, the final haunting entry, written in a strangely calm, steady hand. Storm ended, sea calm. God is over all. But here is the detail that turns this tragedy into a nightmare. Meteorological records from neighbouring islands and passing ships confirmed the weather on those exact dates. There was no storm. The seas were completely calm. So, what were they praying to be saved from? When Captain Harvey of the Hesperus anchored off Eilean Moor on Boxing Day, an unnatural silence hung over the island. No flag was flying from the flagstaff. No supply boxes were left on the shore, and no keepers came out to greet them. The relief keeper, Joseph Moore, climbed the steep, jagged stairs to the lighthouse alone, his stomach tied in knots. When he reached the top, he found the main compound gate locked shut. Inside, the heavy entrance door to the tower was also securely bolted. As Moore walked through the cold, echoing corridors, the sense of dread deepened. The beds were unmade. The pots in the kitchen were clean. The oil lamps were trimmed, filled, and ready for the night. Strict Northern Lighthouse Board protocol dictated that no matter the emergency, one man must always remain inside the lighthouse. Yet, when Moore checked the cloakroom, only one set of oilskin weather gear remained. This meant 2 men went out into the freezing winter storm, and one man chased after them in his shirt sleeves. Leaving the doors locked from the inside behind them. Investigators scoured the tiny island for any sign of the men. On the western landing, they found their first violent clue. Massive iron railings had been bent and twisted out of shape. A supply box had been smashed to splinters, and a massive block of stone weighing over a ton had been entirely displaced. The official investigation concluded that a massive rogue wave must have swept the men out to sea while they were trying to secure equipment. But this theory requires us to ignore the impossible. If a wave pulled them in, why was the heavy entrance door locked securely from the inside? Why did the logbook detail a terrifying multi-day storm when the skies were entirely clear? And why would Donald MacArthur, a fearless, brawling sailor, be reduced to tears and prayers by bad weather? Other theories are far darker. Did the suffocating isolation of the rock shatter their minds? Did a petty argument turn into a violent murder-suicide, the bodies thrown to the forgiving ocean? Or was the storm they wrote about not a weather event at all? Were they describing something else entirely? Something rising from the deep water that only they could see. Over a century has passed. The Flannan Isles Lighthouse was eventually automated, and the need for human keepers was erased. The rock now sits entirely abandoned. James Duckett, Thomas Marshall, and Donald MacArthur were never seen again. The ocean is vast, it is dark, and it does not give back what it takes. Whatever came for them in the dark of that December night remains a secret bound to the stone. Thank you for watching Arcanum. If you seek the truth hidden in the shadows, subscribe. We will see you in the next investigation.